Okay. Good afternoon, golfers. It's Thomas Campbell, Master Club Fitter at Second Swing. Today we're going to be live discussing the new Callaway Epic line. And I have a special guest today. I have Evan Gibbs, who's R&D Director of the Woods. So thanks, Evan, so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. We really appreciate it. So exciting. It's always exciting when Callaway brings out new drivers. I've been lucky enough that I've played the Callaway driver since the original first Epic driver. It's been a great product, especially Jailbreak. We noticed there was some big changes in technology and ball speeds across the face. So really appreciate you for joining. If you could kind of key us in on some of the key technologies that have come up with the new Callaway driver, Epic driver.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. So, yeah, the Epic franchise has just been a huge success for us the last couple of years. Both in the market and across all the professional tours globally. A couple of years ago, we introduced the first Epic driver. It featured, like you said, jailbreak technology, which really defined that product, but really changed the way that we have designed drivers ever since. And this latest version of Epic features a whole new jailbreak technology called Speed Frame. And this
Okay,
technology works. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say yes. Speed frame. What has been the changes in the ball speed over the last few years?
So the way that the jailbreak works is that it connects the crown and the sole and stiffens the body and minimizes the amount of deflection in the body at impact. And what that does is minimize how much energy is lost into the body during impact, which allows us to focus that energy into the face and create a much more efficient transfer of energy at impact. So to the golfer, that means more ball speed, both in the center and more consistent ball speed as you start to move away from the center.
Yeah, especially when you start getting away from the center, we'll notice a lot of manufacturers these days are pushing that MOI. The MOI forgiveness is very important. We notice we've got
Yeah.
some limitations on ball speed these days with all the technology, but MOI is definitely very important.
Yeah. So, these drivers feature a much higher MOI than previous Epic models. And like you said, MOI is key because it increases the stability of the club when you don't hit the center of the face. So the result of that is more consistent spin rates, more consistent ball speeds. But we've also tried to use our face technology and jailbreak technology to also enhance the ball speed when you don't hit the center of the face. So these new Epic Woods feature, like I said, a whole new jailbreak technology along with a lot higher MOI than the previous models.
And they continue to be incorporated with AI, correct?
Yeah, so last year in Maverick was really the first time we introduced, using artificial intelligence in a product. It was used solely on the face design. And this year we try to utilize those same optimization techniques to help us design this new speed frame. uh, again, with the objective of trying to stiffen and stabilize the body both vertically, horizontally, and torsionally, which again creates just a lot more stable club head at impact.
Yeah, I mean, even golfers, professional golfers, and recreational golfers, they all need that stability across the face. So there are three new drivers with the Epic line. We've got the Epic Speed, we've got the Epic Max, and the Epic Max LS. What driver of all threes are probably going to fit most golfers?
So the speed and the max really share a lot of the common characteristics to the Maverick and Maverick Max. The Max LS is really a whole new product for us. The Epic Speed, like Maverick, is kind of a smaller head shape. It features our Cyclone aerodynamic shaping, so it's going to be our fastest head shape. Kind of a mid spin, moderate amount of draw bias, really consistent spin rates. This probably is going to fit the broadest range of player types. Um, and then you have the Max model. This is going to be a larger head shape, our highest MOI, most forgiving. It's really designed for higher handicap players that need a little bit more help. So it's going to launch the ball higher. It's going to help minimize the slice, create a little bit more draw bias, and it's going to be a lot more stable. So again, on those miss hits where you don't hit the center of the face, you'll see a lot more consistent spin, a lot more consistent ball speed. And then the Max LS, this is really a new idea for us. It's not really a replacement to the Sub-Zero, but it is a lower spin version of the Max, really targeting better players who want a ton of forgiveness, but don't necessarily need the higher launch and draw bias of a Max. So this is a club that's very high MOI, but a little bit flatter trajectory, and a very neutral setup. So not a real bias to one way or the other.
Very nice. Now, they all do look a little bit different at address. They're all 460 cc's, is that correct?
Right around there. I think the speed model is a little bit smaller. It's closer to 450, but the Max and Max LS are kind of right at the limit of head volume.
Okay. What should we see with regards to maybe launch and spin tendencies between these three models?
So the speed is going to be kind of the middle of the road. Like I said, kind of a mid-launch, mid-spin. The Max model is going to launch the ball higher, probably with a touch more spin, but with that comes a lot more control. And then the Max LS is going to launch a touch lower with a touch less spin. And you'll also see a little bit difference in shot shape between the three. So the Max will be our most draw biased. The speed is kind of right there in the middle. And then the Max LS is our most neutral. And obviously they have the adjustable perimeter weight in the two Max models. So those give you a lot of versatility in terms of being able to fit to different shot shapes and, adjust side spin accordingly.
Are they all coming in like a 9, a 10.5 degree, or 12 degree driver? Which ones maybe have more loft or less loft?
Yeah, so the speed and the Max come in a 9, 10, 5, and 12. And then the Max LS is only in a 9 and 10, 5.
Okay, because that's typically for the player that's maybe a little faster club speed, doesn't need that extra loft, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Very, very nice. Yeah, it's going to be a great year. And we're actually going to be testing these drivers here live very soon. But first off, we're just getting Evan to talk about these different drivers here. So touching on the drivers a little bit more, what golf shafts are coming with these models?
The stock shafts are a new hazardous smoke shaft. I'm actually trying to think of the other two. It's slipping my mind. Don't have that in front of me.
I think there's like maybe like MMT, Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
And yep,
new
that's going to be a little
shaft,
higher spinning. And the hazardous, is it the Mio? That's going to be a little lower spinning, correct?
Yeah, they're going to be, they're matched well with the different club heads again to create a little bit higher launch and a little bit lower launch.
Okay, very nice. So let's move on to the fairway woods before we hit some shots. Is there 3 different models, 2 different models? What are the different models for the fairway wood?
So we tried to simplify the lineup a little bit this year. So there's just 2. There's a speed and a Max. The speed model is a little bit smaller head, geared a little bit towards better players, a little bit flatter trajectory, very neutral weighting. The Max is going to be geared to players who need a little bit more help, so it's going to launch the ball higher. It's going to have a lot more stability when you don't hit the center of the face, and it's going to have a little bit of draw bias in it for players who tend to lose it to the right.
Got it. I think one of the heads has 13.5 degrees loft. Is that correct?
They actually both come in a 3+.
Okay.
Again, the Max 3+. Obviously, it's geared towards a little bit higher handicap player, but a lot of players use these as kind of secondary driving clubs. And so for some players off a tee, that lower loft is quite useful. But yeah, they come in a range of lofts. The Max actually has the majority of the higher lofts this year. So a 9 wood, 11 wood, a heaven wood. And then the standard model comes in a 3+, a 3, 4, 5, and 7.
Okay, so we've got a wide range in regards to loft, whether it's working on your gapping or trying to get in the optimal window, essentially. I'm most interested because I've been playing the Maverick 13.5, the 3 Plus, the last year, and I've really liked it. So, how much more different will the Maverick be, maybe compared to the new Epic line? Is the Maverick still staying in line, like kind of like the Rogue did, and then how is it going to work with regards to Epic and Maverick?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to, keep those. The Maverick will be in line; they will be available. But certainly, our focus this year is on Epic. These feature our latest technology. These are our highest performing products. But Maverick will still be available in line.
Very nice. Yeah, performed really well in 2020. Well, we are going to do some club testing. We've got TrackMan linked up here. So I'm going to hit some shots and test the different models. You're welcome to stay on, Evan, if you want. Otherwise, you're welcome to leave too. I know you've busy day for you here as well. It's been a great day with the release on the Epic fairways and drivers. So thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to stay on, see you hit a few.
Sounds good. All right, well, I'm going to switch over so I can get warmed up. So I'm going to bring on another content guys, Drew Mahowald. Drew Mahowald, also you will notice on our YouTube channel. He's going to be kind of helping me run the show a little bit. So we're going to be hitting some shots here. I think he might have just joined us online now. I was just warming up, and if you look right behind me there, that was one of my driver shots that I just hit with the Max LS. So I'm excited to do some testing.
Yeah, this should be good. I also wanted to thank Evan again for joining us as well. It was really nice to have Evan on, provide his insight, and I know all of us at Second Swing are very excited for Callaway Epic, and I am also excited to see Thomas hit some shots here, and maybe I'll squeak in a few as well. But Callaway Epic, they've done some really cool things with artificial intelligence. Now they're expanding that even more. So, Thomas, I think we want to get after this, don't we?
Yeah, let's get me the chance to jump in, get loose here again.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite a few minutes ago when I hit that shot. But I'm excited to do some testing and talk about the differences between the models. So maybe I'll grab like an Apex iron, one of the new ones, just to kind of warm up with that. I know today we're focusing on the Epic. We're opening up for Epic's fairways and drivers. But stay tuned next week. I believe we are going to be working on creating another live event where we're going to be discussing the irons here as well. So I'm going to switch places here. I'm going to jump in and get warmed up a little bit. Do we have any questions or anything at all so far? I know we're about 20 minutes in. Any questions from any guests that are watching?
I'll kind of add on to that. We're always inviting questions, inviting comments from the viewers, and I know as people kind of come in and out of the live, we do want to get to as many as we can. Sometimes it can get hectic a little bit, but we always are inviting comments and questions, and we'll make sure to get to as many as we can here. So. But I do want to say the first impression, so to speak, of the Epic line has been awesome. And if you guys haven't checked it out yet, we do have videos up on our page covering the drivers and the fairway woods from Callaway for the Epic line. So if you're able to, check those out as well. We do cover all the tech and the information there as well. But again, stay tuned for us as well as Thomas gets warmed up, and we will be covering everything once again, doing some more testing, and getting into the thick of Callaway Epic line here.
Yeah, I'm just warming up right now with the new Apex Pro 21 iron. It feels incredibly good. So stay tuned as I've been playing the irons. I've been playing X-Forged irons and Apex blades, and I'll play the Apex Pro irons as well. So I'm excited to test and figure out my bag this year as well. And I'm stay tuned for me trying to figure out which long irons I'm going to play. I know I'm
Right.
going to for sure play the blades. But yeah, these feel incredibly good.
Mm-hmm.
Love warming up with them. They feel good and look good.
We do have a question from Thomas here. Thomas Poole is asking about how close would you say Epic LS, talking about the Epic Max LS, is to the Sub-Zero line. And I think they're similar in that, you know, they promote the low spin, right?
Yep.
But I think what Callaway's really done kind of uniquely is they've made a low spin head with a bunch of forgiveness packed into it too. It's kind of the best of both worlds there. You know, I think as people kind of really try to chase that distance, sometimes you can almost lose sight of the forgiveness that's needed there if you're trying to chase after that low spin, penetrating low ball flight. And so the Epic Max LS kind of has the properties of sort of a forgiving driver, but also that low spin packed in there as well.
Yeah, I'll kind of add to that too. Yeah, it's got the properties of a giving driver. It will spin a little bit less than, say, the other two models will too. But at address, it just looks like it sits a little bit flatter. I think line roll is a little bit flatter. Maybe just a little bit more open. So it's going to maybe promote more of that little anti-left shot with it as well. So it definitely sits a little bit flatter compared to the other two models when looking at address. Okay, so let's move over. Maybe we'll start with the fairway woods first.
Okay.
Let's do the fairway woods. We've got quite a range of fairway woods. We're lucky enough that our local rep was able to drop these off for us this morning here. So we mentioned there's two different fairway woods available from Callaway. You got the Epic Speed and you got the Epic Max. So I've got kind of a range here. So I've got Epic Speed. I got a 3+, 5, and a 4, and it looks like I have Epic Max 3 and 5. So maybe let's go 3s here first, and get kind of warmed up here, and maybe I'll hit the Epic Max, give myself it'll be a little bit more forgiving than the other one. Chance to kind of hit fairways off the ground because I'm not the best at hitting fairways off the ground.
Well,
right
I
off
think
the bat.
comparatively, you know.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'll get you set up here on the track, man. All right, so
kind of looking at the two of them right here. So I've got, oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Got 3 and 5. I've got the wrong one here again. Sorry. I'll get it right here eventually. There we go. So I got the Epic Max 3 wood and the Epic Speed 3 wood here.
Okay.
So when I'm kind of looking at the two of them here, one thing I definitely noticed, the Epic Max looks like the weight's kind of pushed a little bit more back, but it is adjustable. So it is adjustable. You've got the weight from the front to the back, and you can flip-flop those two models around. And we just released a video today on our YouTube channel where we kind of test that a little bit. I think we had a 5 wood there originally to test the differences. Difference is going to be spin. So the spin rate is going to drop when you got the heavyweight forward.
Yep.
It's going to spin a little bit more when you have that heavyweight back there
Right.
as well. So we definitely tested that. And then putting them down next to each other, yeah, the Epic Speed definitely looks a little bit more compact looking at address there too. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of test these. So let's hit the Epic Max first.
all right, Epic Max.
And
that
then
set
for
up.
whoever's asking here, we've got the Hazardous Smoke IM10. So this is actually the 6.0 golf shaft, and both of them to test with there as well.
Okay.
So 6.0 is kind of like a stiff golf shaft. 6.5 is like extra stiff, and 5.5 is kind of like a in between, kind of stiff and kind of regular, essentially there too. If you're ever asking on what the Project X rating scale, essentially what that means. So
Sure.
it's like a stiff golf shaft. Yeah, so that's really kind of interesting there because I feel like, I don't know what it was, I feel like I left the face just a little open on it, but it definitely got a little bit more, maybe draw bias to it on that one. That was actually hit really well. That was smoked, by the way, those numbers for 3 wood off the bat. Now I do have the heavyweight forward right now too.
Okay.
So that's probably part of the reason why the spin rate
Yeah.
on that was just a little.
I was
going
going to ask about that,
side.
what the weight setting is for that
Yeah.
right now. And then did want to get your perspective too on just how it looks at address. I know we've talked about that before, but get your perspective on the appearance of that fairway wood at address, and then once we hit the Epic speed, we'll get sort of the same kind of comparison there in terms of the appearance.
Yeah, and comparison to appearance, the Epic Max looks just a little bit larger. You can kind of notice how it feels like they're pushing that weight just kind of a little bit back with it. So it's a little bit more from the front of the face to the back of the crown. Seems like there's more room, where the speed just looks like it's just a little bit more compact compared to the two of them there too. But even considering this being kind of, I guess, your more forgiving, more maybe slightly more game improved model compared to the speed, I mean, that's pretty good right off the bat there too.
Right.
And I think, yeah, having that weight forward definitely helped me with regards to the spin on that shot. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a little easier to turn over.
So now, Thomas, for your game in particular, let's give the viewers maybe a little perspective on kind of what you're generally looking for out of your 3-wood in terms, I mean, we can talk spin, but also the carry and total distances there as well.
Yeah, I mean, normally my 3-wood's around about 260, 265, kind of carry going 280, 285-ish. So yeah, I mean that one actually was spot on, 265. So yeah, normally that's kind of what my 3-wood does. As I mentioned, I've been playing like a 13.5 the last year because as I started hitting my driver a little bit further, I need to get my clubs out a little bit better. So I was trying to reduce the spin. And then for me, one thing is I've always, with my attack angle, with my driver being up on the ball, I still hit up on the ball sometimes a little bit too much with the fairway wood, so I wanted to reduce that spin rate. That's why I reduced that loft a little bit there too. So that's pretty impressive right there. So you can see my attack angle on that shot. Still 1.6 degrees up, and with the fairway wood, you want to get as close to neutral as you can there. So. A little bit left there. Yeah, very, very easy to turn over. That's probably more the user than everything.
Right.
There too.
Well, so now, what we could do, we can maybe tweak that weight a little bit.
Yep.
We'll play around with that, maybe move the heavier weight towards the back of the club head, see how that changes those numbers there in terms of maybe the height and the launch angle and things like that.
Yeah, so right now I've got it on the heavy weight, so that the heavy weights are kind of up the front and the light weights kind of towards the back. So I'm going to flip-flop these two around here.
I'll get you set up on TrackMan with another.
Sounds good. So yeah, we were seeing the spin rate as I hit those 3 shots. I think they were just under 3,000 RPMs was the spin. Looks like we changed up the hole that I'm playing to on the range today. It's not just a wide open range, so it kind of shows the importance
demands a
of
little
hitting
more
the fairway.
accuracy.
It does demand a little more accuracy there too. Yeah, that last shot maybe wasn't so hot by me. Okay, so if I was to predict, I'm gonna maybe predict 200 or 300 RPMs more spin.
Okay.
That's about maybe. So we'll notice we're just a little bit under 3,000 when we're hitting with the heavyweight forward. Now let's kind of see the heavyweight back and see if that spin rate changes at all. Silver dot facing right up. Hit it well. Yeah, a little over 3,000.
Yeah. You mentioned, 300-ish increase in spin. I mean, that one was just over 3,000. So, I mean, you're I know you had a couple that were about, like, I think one of your shots is about 2,600 or something like that.
The first one was like 26. Yeah. A little straighter there too. Not saying
that was a
that
straight
it's,
ball flight.
I mean, yeah, when you have more weight pushed back, yeah, it was probably maybe make it a little bit more forgiving. But that was pretty good there. That's pretty straight. That one for sure was on the fairway. There you go, a little more spin.
There you go.
36. So yeah, so this is just kind of showcasing kind of the differences between having that heavy weight forward and having that heavy weight back. Yeah, kind of really kind of interesting. Right off the bat, we just noticed, yeah, the spin rate kind of jumped up. I said maybe about 300, but I don't know if you can bring up differences between those two shots there at all.
Yep, so we can kind of take that out, but
yep.
Here's the spin difference, like you mentioned. Well, it's just a couple shots, right? Sample size is not very huge, but you did see that increase in spin right away, that increase in height, and then talk about you know, like launch angle as well, almost a degree up. So you're seeing that difference that is provided by just moving that weight around a little bit. And I mean, it took you 10 seconds to swap the weights out. So something as little as that, maybe on the driving range with this model in particular, you're able to you know, fix what you need to fix. Maybe you'll hit it too high with 3-wood. In that case, you can move heavier weight to the back, or vice versa. If you need to hit the ball a little bit lower, control a little bit more, move that weight forward. So that's just one of the benefits of the Epic Max.
Yeah, it's definitely a benefit. And then talking about adjustability, so the way they've designed these heads, they're essentially trying to save weight. They don't have that adjustable hosel with these, so it's a bonded hosel. I know some in the past have had that adjustable kind of hosel there too, but it's a bonded, and that is the same with both models as we're kind of looking at the two of them. Yeah, so you can kind of see both the same with both models there. So unlike the driver where you can go +2 or -1 in loft, this is a fixed head.
One question we did get on the YouTube stream here that I wanted to bring up, Thomas. Anders is asking, is your naturally upward attack angle the reason that you maybe don't hit your fairway woods what you think the best? And I think, you know, you mentioned that to me before, that you, especially now with sort of, you know, maybe the training you're doing to kind of hit farther shots off the tee, it's maybe, you know, an upward attack angle, if it's too high, can make that fairway wood shot difficult off the turf and maybe hit it low on the face a little bit.
It can, yeah. So you hit up on it when the ball is on the ground, you're going to catch it a little too far low on the face, which causes the ball to kind of balloon and spin a little bit there too. So not getting the most out of it. Ideally, a very, very neutral attack angle, or maybe ever so slightly down, is going to help kind of maybe compression with the fairway wood there too. But yeah, one of the downfalls of my golf swing. I've got a couple, but that's the one thing, and I'm not worried about it because I don't have to hit too many fairway woods when the courses that I play, and if I do, it's maybe off the tee. Maybe trying to lay up short of a bunker at like 300 or something like that. So I'm not too worried about it because most of the courses I'm not hitting a fairway wood into the green per se, so it's not off the ground. But yeah, if I'm hitting a fairway wood off the ground like I am here, yeah, I'll catch it a little low on the face and it'll spin a little bit more. So.
Well, now I think we can maybe transition to the Epic Speed, and I just want to first kind of, when you pick that one up, the 3-wood, and maybe compare the looks on them, you know, in terms of the appearance and the club head size and things like that, because, you know, as we know, the you know, looks and kind of the emotional side of things is always going to play a part into, you know, how a golfer, you know, the affinity a golfer has maybe for a club model. So maybe get that one and maybe you can compare those two.
Yeah, so, you know, I personally like the look of the smaller head.
Yeah.
Just looks a little bit more compact. I will expect it probably to spin a little bit less here again. And I'm going to probably expect maybe go a little further here. That's what I kind of may expect comparing the models. But it's, with it being smaller, you know, for sure it comes at a price that's probably not going to be as forgiving as the Max head is. But, I mean, these days fairway woods are a lot more forgiving than the fairway wood was 25 years ago. So. A little more ball speed there. Oh, there we go. 300 yards on the right on the number there. That's pretty good.
Right off the bat, you're going to surpass 300 yards like that? Okay.
That is excellent right there.
So you got that attack angle pretty much neutral there. That's one way to strike it efficiently. But
yeah, height about 100 feet in the air.
That is some. I mean, that is some pop off the club face. You know. So I mean, we haven't really gone. I guess. One thing we can mention once again, is the artificial intelligence and those velocity blades in there too for the fairway woods. Sort of the upgrade that Callaway's made from Jailbreak, talking about the velocity blades in the fairway woods. That's sort of their expansion of Jailbreak to give more, I guess, horizontal stability, and then so again, that the ball speeds are increased across the entire face. So I know that one you probably hit the center of the face, but maybe for those strikes that, like you mentioned, maybe when you do hit the lower part of the club face, for example, or maybe miss it a little bit off to the side, those velocity blades, are going to be the benefit there to help that ball maintain spin, maintain ball speed there.
Yeah, I don't think I can hit it better than that. That shot was about as good as I can probably kind of hit there. But yeah, you can notice how the ball speed a little bit higher, spin rate dropped down kind of a little bit there too, a little more compact head, and that weight. Maybe not so much back on the club there as well.
Right.
But it's not going to be as forgiving as say the max head's going to be. So make sure you work with a fitter to figure out kind of which head, if you're looking at these two heads, to figure out which one you want to go for. Because if a player comes in and you don't have enough club speed, it's not going to work in your favor. You're not getting a chance to get that ball up in the air to go the right distance that you want to try and get the ball to go.
Yeah, so I mean, based on, there's the adjustable weights part of the Epic Max, and then kind of the way the club head for the Epic Speed's built, you're going to say the Epic Max is probably going to fit into more golfers than the Epic Speed, based on what you're seeing from these two so far.
I think yeah, it's just got a tad more for kind of forgiveness, and you've got those golfers that maybe struggle with a little bit of a right ball. I think the Max is just going to give you just a little bit of help there as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll hit one more, but I don't think I can hit it better than that. Before we jump to the drivers.
Another good one.
Oh. Hit up on the ball a little bit, catch it a little lower, and it will spin a little bit. But you'll notice how the spin rate stayed down.
It didn't spike, I guess,
as it
maybe would with a, traditionally on a lower strike on the club face, you see that spin spike up to, like maybe 1,000 RPM with the fairway wood sometimes, and that stayed relatively low in that low 3,000s range, which is right where you want to be with the fairway woods.
Yeah. Set myself up for failure, so I can't hit it better than the first one. So.
Yeah.
Let's move to the drivers.
All right, I like that.
I'm excited to kind of test the drivers out here too. So we mentioned we had Evan on here earlier. He was talking about the three different models. So you have the Epic Speed. The Epic Speed's probably going to fit most golfers. It's just forgiving. It's going to have high ball speeds. It's going to kind of do what you want essentially. There's no sliding weight with the Epic Speed. You still can adjust the hosel settings. So as I mentioned before, you can go up 2 degrees, up 1, down 1, make it more upright as well. But the other two models, you've got the Epic Max and Epic Max LS. If you turn it over and look on the back here, you've got those sliding weights that you can kind of see with the driver there too. And that's going to help tune in your ball flight trajectory a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of different options here from Campbell. And they always, they're always trying to hone in on providing an option for every golfer out there. And so I think it's nice that they have the three models, and then there's adjustability with the weights in the back for a couple. But then I think you touched on Epic Speed, sort of giving you basically everything that you're looking for out of a driver with the forgiveness, the high launch, but also low spin, and then the high ball speeds there. So, and then we'll talk a little bit too more further on, the things that have been improved with Jailbreak and how that's evolved a little bit here with the Epic line.
Yeah, and I have all three heads with me. I can hit the max if we want. It's just it's a 10.5, and the other two are 9. I can hit it. Maybe I can reduce that loft down a little bit to like 9.5. At least so we can kind of see the differences and talk about the differences with them. Let's start with that one first here, actually.
Okay. We did get a comment or a question here from, or talking about, so when are you going to review Apex DCB, and we do have a video up on the channel now, but also stay tuned for perhaps some more live videos moving forward here. Maybe next week we'll touch on the Apex irons, but today we're going to focus primarily on Epic drivers and fairway woods, and because I mean, there's so much to unpack with these. They're powerful. They're they're very tech savvy, and the artificial intelligence thing is, I think it gets brushed over almost a little bit too much, because that's a tremendous accomplishment to bring in artificial intelligence, be able to use all those different prototypes and build them all out so quickly, and then identify sort of which one in terms of the club face, club shape is the right one for the model and the best option.
It is. I mean, you've basically got robots working for you essentially. So they don't. I mean, you're just going over and over and over and relaying over and over and checking the data out. I mean, you're gonna figure out the best combination with that particular club head, and it's not the same face for every single model. It's the same. It's the right face, whether it's the Max LS, whether it's the Max, whether it's the Speed, and artificial intelligence is definitely helping Callaway out a lot with drivers. And we also have those Apex irons this year as well that we've got AI helping with too there. So yeah, we do have 2 videos. We've got the DCB versus the Apex video that we released, I believe it was Tuesday. And then we did also an Apex Pro 19 versus Apex Pro 21. So yeah, that was a good test comparing those models. So I did put this down one, so I'm trying to get as close as I can there. So I mentioned the Epic Max head. This is 10.5 degree head. Put it
so you got it down to, is it basically 9.5?
9.5.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in the neutral setting here. Pretty good start
Not bad.
there. Yeah.
I know it spins a tad higher than maybe you're used to, but that's also part of the, I mean, you're hitting sort of the high spin, high MOI, high launch driver of the 3. So
it's a little bit more loft on the club. That I play a 9 degree driver right now, and then with me doing the overspeed training, for sure I am going to go down less loft, I think, because my attack angle, even when I start swinging faster and faster, it's been hovering around about 5 degrees up. And when I'm swinging up on it 5 degrees and I got 9 degrees of loft on the driver, I can get that down to 8. I can reduce the spin and get that height down a little bit more optimal. It's going to go further. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Both those shots, spin rate was around about 2,500. Kind of high though. I mean, like I said, that's high, 45 feet in the air. I'm looking at that landing angle, 45 degrees, and that's just saying that, hey, I need less loft.
Right.
Well, I probably don't need the highest the highest spinning, I guess, of the 3 models. Why need this?
We should touch on, there are a lot of golfers that do need more height or more forgiveness, more launch. And so if they're in that category, and maybe it's it could be a swing speed thing, or maybe you don't swing as fast, or maybe it's just the way you attack the ball, maybe you have almost a negative attack angle on driver, things like that. This driver is going to really help you launch the ball higher into the air and make sure you're getting, maximizing your carry, right? Because that's one of the reasons you see a lot of golfers maybe not maximizing distance, is they're not getting the ball high enough, and therefore it's landing sooner than it should, and not getting that maximum distance. Epic Max is really going to help do that.
Yeah, I actually just shot a video this morning comparing. I've reduced the loft down to 8, and I have reduced the loft, put the loft up to 13 on a driver, and I swung at 80 miles an hour, and I also swung at my max speed. And there's a huge difference when you swing at 80 miles an hour with the driver, and you don't have enough loft on it. You're sacrificing so much distance. It's really kind of amazing, the difference. But then at the other end of the spectrum, if you swing too fast with too much loft, it's just going to be kind of moonballs. And I was hitting shots 180 feet in the air with 13 degrees of loft on the driver, and was just spinning, and it wasn't optimal. So should we move over to something that's a little bit more optimal, possibly?
For you, yeah, it's probably more optimal. We can go.
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with that club speed on that last shot.
I know the speed training you're doing. It's
happening.
That club speed number is getting a little bit larger and larger each time we test.
I'm gonna catch you here, Drew, soon.
Now I got to start doing some training myself.
So I'll go to 9. Maybe at the end I'll go to 8 and see kind of what happens here.
So you're going to speed now, or are you going to go to max LS now?
I'm going to the speed.
Okay.
So speed is gonna be, like I mentioned, this is probably gonna fit the majority of golfers. You got the max. This is probably gonna be more forgiving, maybe a little more draw bias. And then you got the Max LS, which is going to be slightly less on the spin side. All right. That, yeah, for me, even just kind of noticing the club head size at address, this just looks a little bit more kind of compact and kind of what I like to see it at address. And the other one, it just looks like it's more forgiving. You see the weight kind of pushed kind of back a little bit, too. Pretty good. Notice I didn't quite swing as hard on that one, but it got out there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get much more efficient than that, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. A little bit more ball speed on that one, but I didn't quite swing it quite as hard. So. And that's a little bit to do with loft as well. So if you have more loft on a driver, also, you're going to not have quite as much ball speed as possible.
Yep.
Faced in the right spot.
Yeah, that's a rip.
A little bit more draw on that one. I might be slowing down a little bit.
Well, I mean, so we should mention though, like the there's maybe more workability in as you kind of get down the line a little bit. So I mean, that's could be part of the reason there's a little bit more draw shown, because I know that's the shot shape that you have or prefer to have off the tee is that draw.
Yeah, I mean, kind of noticed there too. I happened the height. That one was only 113 feet in the air, and then that landing angle at 37 versus the other model was at 45. Now, yes, because the face was a little bit more closed, that's going to reduce it a little bit. But also it's the head model and for sure the loft, being half a degree less loft on the driver. Let's hit one more. And then left the face a little bit open on that one, but you will notice that the spin rate did not really kind of go up.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting, because I think we you see that a lot when you kind of let the face angle maybe open a little bit is when, it's in theory the spin should go way up and you should probably have it launch way higher and things like that. Yep. That spin staying down in the low 2000s there is actually really impressive.
Yeah, so that club face there was actually open almost 6 degrees. Yeah, my path was a little in out there. But yeah, it's definitely, normally you see that, normally it would just kind of go up a little higher and definitely spin on the higher side there too. So, speaking of spin, so for chasing a little bit less spin, you've got the Epic Max LS head. And I'm going to keep it still at 9 for now, but after I hit these couple of shots, I will reduce that loft to maybe what's more optimal for me.
Okay. So now looking at it at address, do you see, is that sort of that same progression kind of where you maybe started with the Epic Max and you sort of pointed out maybe a larger footprint and then it sort of decreased with the speed? Does that progression kind of continue or?
No, actually.
Really?
No. The Epic speed of the 3 looks like it's the more kind of compact, where the Epic Max LS is, it seems like it's shaped a little bit more like the Max.
Okay.
At address, it looks like it's sitting maybe just a little bit more open or a little bit flatter.
Okay.
At address, but yeah, if I'm looking at comparing the models there, Yeah, I would say it's kind of in between the two of them. So the Max is going to be the largest, more forgiving head. Looks pretty similar, just looks a little bit flatter and a little bit more open.
Interesting.
Yeah. So a very, very high MOI driver that's designed to spin low. I like that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, to me, that's a great combination to have. Someone who might miss the center of the face a little bit, but does have some swing speed. That might be up my alley.
Well, let's test it here. I feel like I didn't quite catch that one. Yeah, left face a little bit open on that one. Once again, spin stayed down.
Mm-hmm.
That was my swing where I don't quite finish my follow through. But the important thing is the spin rate still stayed down. That one should turn over a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So that's just kind of showing that spin rate kind of difference there.
That's not almost as good as it gets there, because I know you like to say right around 100 feet in the air. That's what you're looking for. And I know you like to hit that draw, and then that spin actually going below 2,000 is going to really help that thing kind of chase out and provide that sort of penetrating ball flight.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to lower my spin, if I was going to lower my club speed anymore, I probably wouldn't even need to go with less loft on this, like I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to always spin too low, essentially, there too.
Right, yeah.
That one might have been maybe a little on the toe side, possibly. But, yeah, still pretty good numbers there. Highest ball speed today. Now left face a little open there on that one.
We've seen some high ball speeds, Thomas.
But once again, that spin rate stayed down, which is definitely important.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, height stays down even though I left that face open there to the right. So, yeah, I mean, I personally like the look of this at address, just knowing that I can probably go after it a little bit harder and not worry about it hooking per se on me. Because you notice two of those shots were still kind of stayed to the right, and the one I got on the toe did turn over a little bit. So I want to, just for fun, set up this at 8 degrees and just go after a couple here and kind of see. Usually if I go after it too quick, it will hook on me. So I want to see if if it stays a little bit straighter. So I'm just putting this to neutral -1.
So you're basically down to 8 degrees?
Down to 8. And I haven't moved any of the adjustable weight on the back of the drivers at all. They're just all being in the neutral position.
All right, so I'll give you a new tag on TrackMan here. We'll see what happens.
See what happens. See if I can maximize that ball speed and see if I have a couple of fast swings left in me here today. I don't know if I do have, but we'll find out.
Get after it.
Definitely a little harder to kind of turn over.
I'm seeing 170 consistent ball speed. I know that's it's almost becoming consistent on the last few swings here, which I know that's you haven't been there before.
No, I have not.
You have not been there before.
Yeah. It's nice. It's
nice to be in the 170s.
It's nice to catch up on you a little bit here. Still got work to do, but.
Here's the thing, Thomas. You're always going to have an advantage of me on average because of my inconsistency in contact. So you'll always have that advantage.
Yeah. I will say, the speed training for sure is helping. You can see, I'm almost getting to 116 here.
171 this time. Look at
There
that.
you go.
Really good.
Yeah, the flatter lie angle for sure, and then also that combined with putting it down on loft, it makes it hard for me to turn over.
Which
is a good thing to know if you're looking at a club and you hook the ball a lot and you got a lot of speed. It's not a bad option.
Yeah, so we can maybe bring these numbers and kind of over all the driver shots here. Maybe just take a look at all of them here. We can sort of compare in terms of spin and things. I know this isn't a perfect sample. We didn't hit a bunch of shots here, but we can sort of break it down a little bit and see if there's any trends here. But I mean, you can notice how he sort of, I'm looking at ball speed here, right? So if we're going to talk about ball speed. I mean, this is kind of as you went on a little bit, but the sort of higher launch driver maybe. Sort of the lowest, and then now for your sake, as we went up, maybe de-lofted things a bit as well, you kind of increased in ball speed here. Now I know club speed fluctuated a bit as well, but that's maybe one note here, at least for your sake and what you're trying to accomplish with your swing. Something low spin and maybe lower loft is going to be the best for you.
Yeah, for sure. And you want to be, for my speed, I want to be kind of in that low 2000s before workouts to spin. You still want to be able to control it. You don't want to spin it at 16, 1500 because it's going to dive out of the air and be hard to control. So, yeah, I'm excited because I know I'm going to play one of these driver models. I got to kind of figure out which one. But I'm leaning towards this, knowing that I can go after it a little harder and do what I want to do with regards to try to hit the ball a little further and not worry about it hook. At least I can eliminate one side of the golf course, which is kind of a nice thing there as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, so I gotta say too, like, I mean, we've done a lot of videos last couple of years now, testing out drivers, and I've come to know a little bit about the numbers that I'm used to seeing from you, and carry numbers here about 300 average. I mean, about the Max LS, you're over 300, you're over 300 with the speed, just shy of 300 with the standard setting Max LS, and then the Epic Max, and so. These are some impressive numbers in distance. A lot of explosiveness behind these drivers, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of ball speed.
A lot of speed right there.
But speed retention, when you don't quite catch it perfect there as well. Speed retention is the important thing. And these manufacturers, they're pushing the envelope with regards to forgiveness. And with the Epic Max line, Epic Speed line, there's definitely no difference there. It's hot and it's forgiving.
The Jailbreak speed frame. I mean, that's These numbers are explosive, and so that's just Callaway. That's one way that they've, like you say, pushed the envelope. They're doing that again with the artificial intelligence and kind of refining it a little bit. And so actually, that's a good one there, Tom.
So I got it right here. So this is the Epic Flash model right here. You can kind of see this is the original kind of jailbreak. Well, maybe a slight modification since the original first Epic one came out there too. But then if you take a look on the left side here, that's the speed frame on the left side there too. So it's gonna be stronger. It's gonna be stronger on miss hits, and it's gonna retain that ball speed on those miss hits and just be hotter in general. So it's kind of the differences between the two models there. If you're kind of looking at that.
So you can see those, like I guess the bars, so to speak. I mean, there's more structure to it, but it's also a little bit wider apart there too. So you're gonna get more stability, sort of. I mean, in terms of horizontally across the face versus kind of where maybe it was more focused vertically with the original Jailbreak design.
Yeah, it's still horizontal and it's still vertical. So both, it's gonna, it's still gonna, on those miss hits, the ball speed retention is gonna be really, really kind of important here as well. Yep. So one thing I wanted to kind of touch on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great visual to sort of explain it, right? I mean, you got, that's sort of the inside, and I think that's, Jailbreak was awesome too. I mean, the original Jailbreak design has proven to be great. I know in fittings, it's been a huge talking point for you guys in terms of talking directly to customers, and they've noticed that. And then to even improve on that, I think it's job well done for Callaway here.
Yeah, it's hot, looks good, feels good, can't go wrong.
Yeah, I know. So, I guess there's a couple of comments here. We'll sort of take these last few minutes. Anybody watching to provide any more feedback or questions in terms of Epic. And we'll get to those here in the last couple of minutes. We did have one. This is actually, we had one about just Apex Pro 21 and X Forward CB irons. Just asking about how comparative how those compare, and then I know you're kind of making that decision for yourself a little bit. So maybe just briefly before, I know we'll probably have a video on that type of thing as well coming up, but just briefly what you've seen from both. Do you see any differences there?
Yeah, so, and I've responded to a few of our comments on our channel the last couple of days, because actually it's been a pretty hot topic, which is kind of been really kind of interesting. So what I have noticed is with the Apex Pro, first thing kind of talking on the top line, it does look just a little bit sleeker with the Apex Pro. I'd say offset wise, now I don't know for sure on the numbers what it is, but for me at address, Apex Pro looks like it's got a little bit less offset on it as well. The difference is Apex Pro is from kind of heel to toe. It seems like it's just a little bit longer, where the Apex X-Force CB, not Apex, the X-Force CB just seems like it's just a little bit kind of more compact there as well. And then difference obviously Apex Pro 21 built with AI. So that's kind of the little difference there as well. And then you can kind of notice in the back, you notice the Apex Pro seems it just looks like it's got a little more blade-like to look at. Where the X-Forge CB, it's got that plate in the back, which really helps to really define with regards to swing weight tendencies there as well. But just kind of little differences there. I have hit a few shots. I'm still torn between the two of them right now, and I want to test them with the same golf shaft, and I'm probably going to do a lot of testing comparing the two of them, because I'm going to be playing one of those two irons here in 2021, and that's going to be in my longer irons.
So I know you like to play that combo set, and actually Apex 21MB is going to be sort of your lower irons or shorter irons in the bag. So, but I know you guys still have a lot of testing to do in terms of apples to apples, and then from there you'll maybe put one in the bag, and we'll probably throw up a little bit of video or a video on YouTube as well, and kind of showcase those a little bit. But
I haven't looked close enough at the numbers, like basically split them apart. But I think the Apex Pro is just a little bit hotter. So it's going to go, with regards to ball speed, go kind of a little bit further than the X-Forge CB. But depends on what you're looking for with regards to playability, workability. They're both going to be exceptionally good.
Sure. We also got a question about the IM10 shaft, the hazardous one. Just any further info on that you can provide in terms of maybe what it feels like, things like that.
Yeah, it feels pretty smooth at impact. Now I know with the hazardous, they have Project X and hazardous and everything like that. They've changed their shafts around a little bit, but it feels very smooth. Is how I kind of put it. Doesn't feel like there's a lot of deflection going on with it or anything like that. And I've hit with both the 6.0 and the 6.5, and they both still feel very, very kind of smooth there. It's got a little bit of kind of a kick to it, where I can maybe feel like the club head's kind of catching up a little bit, but I haven't done enough hitting with it yet to know for sure, but of the models that Callaway offers, I believe that is kind of the lower spinning, lower launch shaft right now, and it's going to be offered by other manufacturers as well.
And I know that that's one of those. I mean, they're like you say, pushing the envelope, and all there's terms of different balancing and weighting that's going on within the shaft that the shaft manufacturers are doing to kind of chase that extra performance. But anyway, looking at the chat here, I do want to just kind of thank everybody for joining. Thank you for joining us for this video, and I think we had a lot of fun testing out. Well, testing out the the Epic drivers, fairways, but also having Evan on as well, which was really fun and cool to get his perspective on the new products here from Callaway 2021. Stay tuned to the channel as well for more videos. We already have, of course, Epic drivers and Epic fairway woods up. We also have some on the Apex irons up, and we'll get some more stuff up here as soon as we can, covering Epic as well. But if there's any more comments or questions, you can leave them in the comments below the video when this thing is up and running, and we'll get to those as soon as we can. But Thomas, I also want to thank you for just hitting a bunch of shots today and giving us a good test and giving us the insight.
Not a problem. It's fun days, fun always when new stuff comes out, get the chance to hit it. Okay.